Thank you. So I just want to pick out 2 or 3 things here. We're here to say thank you to God. In Ephesians, so this is a letter that Paul wrote. He wrote it to a church that he knew well, but at the time that he wrote it, he was a long distance from them. And I thought to myself, I wonder what it is that Paul wants to give thanks for. So we might have our own ideas in our own culture, in our own time, the sorts of people that we are. What is Paul saying thank you for? He says thank you for many things. So this is just one snapshot, as it were, of the things that he wants to say thank you for. So writing to this particular church and other Christians around, he says, "For this reason, ever since I heard about your faith in the Lord Jesus and your love for all God's people, I have not stopped giving thanks for you, remembering you in my prayers." I have not stopped giving thanks for you. And I thought to myself, not stopped giving thanks. And when I turn to what I say, when I talk to God, do I ever, no, I do sometimes, how often do I start with thanks? You know, whatever situation I'm in, I'm coming to God and saying, could you sort this bit out? Could you deal with this? I'm going to hand this over to you. Where is my thanks? And Paul, for all the problems that we have, when Paul writes this, he was often in real trouble as well. He went through great tribulation, he went through great journey, he was separated from people that he loved, and eventually was put to death. And still he could say, I have not stopped giving thanks. Now, I don't want this to sound glib. I know that there are times when it is hard to say thank you. I know that there will be people who, since September, have had a difficult time. There are people who are in church in the congregation at 9 o'clock and in this congregation who today are thinking, this is so hard. What I am living through is so difficult. To say thank you is almost impossible. And I don't want to say to you, you should be able to say thank you. There are times when that is difficult and maybe we can't do it. And we need to rest in the fact that other people, our fellow Christians around us, are saying thank you on our behalf. And there will be other times when we need to say thank you for other people. So this is not a guilt trip. This is not a, whatever you're going through, you should be saying thank you for the fact the sun is shining. I know that that is difficult, and God knows that that is difficult. That doesn't mean to say that when we can, giving thanks constantly is what Paul did, and that's a model for us. And what's he giving thanks for? If you could just flip the words back, please. Thank you. So, I do not cease to give thanks for you as I remember you in my prayers. The first thing that he said thank you for was for the faith of this church, the faith of the church in Ephesus, for your faith in the Lord Jesus. So he's not saying, I'm saying thank you for all that you did for me. He's not saying, I'm saying thank you because you're a big, successful, wealthy church. He's not saying, I'm saying thank you because you've got such wonderful careers. He's not saying thank you for any of those things. He's giving thanks for their faith. So some of the things that we thought about in that quiz, but maybe spark some other things. What of our faith in Jesus Christ has developed since September? And part of the reason for doing a Sunday like this is that, when we're in school, we look back and we say, this is what I've achieved in a year. You do a test at the end and you say, I've moved on. I was at level 5 and now I'm at level 6. And I think sometimes we need to do that in our Christian life as well. And to say, where are we now? Have we changed? Have we become more like Christ? What is it that God has been teaching us? How are we developing in our Christian life? Because sometimes it's very easy just to sort of float along and nothing very much changes. Paul was thankful for their faith in Jesus Christ. Secondly, he was thankful for the love of that church for all of God's people. So these were Christians who were not just sitting in a meeting and developing their prayer life and developing their faith. They were out there. They were working. Paul is saying thank you to God for the love that they showed. And the last little bit to put up, he said, ever since I heard of your faith and your love, I have not stopped saying thank you. Ever since I heard. Paul, by the time he wrote this, was hundreds of miles away from the church that he's writing to. How had he heard? How had he heard? How had that message got through? And I paused and I thought to myself, if somebody knew me, knew our church, who lived hundreds of miles away, what would they say they had heard about me? They would say that I changed job. They'd say that I've changed where I live. They would say that I've changed so many aspects of my life. Would they say, I have heard of your faith in Jesus Christ and your love for other people? And if they hear of our church here, would they say primarily, we have heard of your faith and we have heard of your love? Or are there other messages? Are there other priorities that come to the fore? So as we come to the end of one year, in September begin another year, our priorities for ourselves and for our church, that our faith in Jesus Christ and our love for each other, that's what people hear of. And it's not what we're doing in terms of our career, what we're doing in terms of our family, what we're doing in terms of where we live, all those things, important though they are. The first thing that people say when they hear my name, when they hear your name, when they hear Trinity Church, when they hear the Methodist Church in East Grinstead is, oh yes, what wonderful faith and what abundant love they show to other people. I think some puppets. Going to see some puppets, hear some puppets. I've never seen the puppets. I'm very much looking forward to this.